Welcome back, everybody. What's up? My name is Chris Reed Beats, and welcome to this exclusive Reason 12 mixing and mastering tutorial. So in this stream, we're not actually going to be cooking up any beats. We're actually going to be mixing some beats and mastering. And I'm also going to show you guys how you can mix some vocals and master a song with vocals as well. So that's the plan for this stream. I want to give you guys some specific details, some specific tools and tips that you can use when it comes to mastering and mixing in Reason, and specifically using only Reason instruments. So of course we're going full Reason stock instruments. We're not going to use any rack extensions. We're not going to use any of the third-party VSTs, only what exactly comes with Reason 12. So we want to make sure that we are using only Reason 12. So that way, if you are new to Reason and you want to be able to mix and you want to be able to master, you just want to get a good sound with your music, we want to be able to make sure that you can get all of that without purchasing any new equipment or purchasing any new VSTs. Now, of course, there are some great VSTs out there. There are some great rack extensions as well. But for the most part, as I said, we're going to stick to Reason Studios today. So I do want to say shout out to everybody that has joined us. We have Gray Keys Beats in the chat right now, and we have Catchy Noise Productions in the chat as well. And so we're going to go ahead and load up Reason, and we're going to get started with this first session of mixing beats. So those who are familiar with our Reason Live streams, they know that I cook up beats all the time. I'm always cooking up beats. I'm always making beats, and I never mix those beats when I'm live. I pretty much just make a beat, and then when I'm satisfied with how it sounds, I move on to the next beat. And so today is a little special because I wanted to show you guys a little bit on mixing and mastering, and hopefully, you know, pull some people in who are hoping to get some information like this, and they can be able to get some of this information. So I just want to make sure that I have everything plugged in and that you guys can hear the music. And if you guys can hear the music, please just drop something in the chat so I know you can hear the music when it starts to play. So I'm going to play something from one of our previous streams just to make sure our sound and everything is good to go. And you guys just let me know. All right, let me switch over to Reason now. Of course, it doesn't want to work. I'm trying to be a professional here, man. Come on, Stream Deck. Just switch over to Reason when I tell you to switch over to Reason. There we go. Now we have a Reason. See, here's my Stream Deck application. Of course, stuff don't want to work when you tell it to work. So we had to just, you know, bear with me right there with that one. All right, I'm going to play the beat right now. right, awesome. So I got sound is good, so I'm glad to hear that. So this is one of the beats that we cooked up in our previous stream. It has some live acoustic guitar in there, so we're gonna, we're gonna check out, how to, get that live guitar sounding good. It also has some drums and some keys, some bass, right? So it has some different elements in there that we'll be able to check out. I also have this song that we're going to be mixing as well. So I want you to hear it so you can kind of hear what we did with it and the approach. Now, of course, it's a Christian rap song. So for those who are fans of Christian rap, you probably will like it. If you're not a fan of it, then, I'm saying, just vibe with your boy. It's all about the mixing and mastering today. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that one. All right, so that was the second track. So as I said, we're going to take a look at that for our mix with vocals. So we'll look at, mixing those vocals and making sure that it sounds good. For that one, actually, this will be kind of like what you might experience if you're mixing as an engineer. You might just get a 2-track. You might not have access to all of the instruments. So this is a 2-track beat that I created as well. This is one of the artists that I produce. His name is Corey Knock. So I have his vocals, but I only have the 2-track of the beat, and I probably could find the beat somewhere in my files. But for now, we're just going to use that as the 2-track, which just means a stereo track that has the left and right, and all of the instruments are together. So we have the availability of the 2-track and then the vocals. So we'll look at the vocals and mix the vocals and just see what's some of the things that we did there for that. For the mixing of this beat has not had any mix. I think if I go, yeah, there's just a little bit of it's just very little like leveling, but not really a mix. Definitely did not do my mix approach. And so I'm going to make my face a little smaller so that you guys can see more of this mixing board. All right, so when it's time to mix, we're going to start right now. When it's time for you to mix your music, you got to get into the headspace of mixing your music. When you're mixing your music, that's exactly what you're doing. You don't want to be adding new sounds. You don't want to be changing arrangements. You don't want to be adding chords. You don't want to be doing stuff like that. You want to focus your mind in on mixing. So if you find yourself about to mix a beat and you start changing the hi-hats, you start changing the drums, you start looking for different sounds, it's not time for you to mix yet. If you're doing stuff like that, it's not time for you to mix. You're actually still in creative mode. So if you're in creator mode, keep them separate. Use your creator mode as one mode and then use your mixing as a separate mode. Same thing with mastering. When we're moving from mixing to mastering, it's a different headspace that you need to be in. So you want to make sure that you tap into those headspaces. So that's the first mixing tip that I have for you. You want to tap into that headspace. Okay, specifically in Reason. Reason gives you the rack and Reason gives you the mixer. One of the first things that I will do when I'm about to do a mix, first of all, is I'm going to rename the file just so I know that I have the file, the original file, and then this is my mix version, right? This is my mix version of the file. So the first thing that I'll do, I'll go ahead and set a new file. It's a very short beat. So normally what I would say is go to a section of the beat where there's a lot of music, where there's a lot of sound, where all of the sounds of the beat are. So that way you can pinpoint each sound as you're mixing. But this is a very short production and it only has a few sounds in it. So with that, we pretty much will just start from the beginning with the mix. First thing I'll do is drop everything down. I go to a 0 on all of my knobs. Chuck G, glad to see you here. I go to my 0 on all of my faders and I make sure that I don't hear any sound or noise. So if I play the beat and all the faders are zeroed out, all the way dropped down, I shouldn't hear any noise. So right now we don't have any noise. And of course, depending on the style of music that you're making, you might want to start with different things. You might want to start with the kick or you might want to start with the snare. It just depends on how you feel in terms of, the kind of music that you're making. It actually has a couple other things. I actually recorded I actually recorded some acoustic drums as well. So my acoustic drums, I have a kick mic and I have a snare mic. So let's take a listen to that kick mic right now. So our kick mic, really what we really want from the kick mic, we really just want a lot of that kick, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on, the first thing I'm going to do for that kick is I'm going to turn on a low pass filter so we can just kind of get rid of some of those highs. Of course, there's bleed that's happening in that microphone. So as you're recording the rest of the drums, there was some bleed through that was happening with the snare and the hi-hat, of course, because it's a microphone, right? So microphones are picking up all the sounds. Even though it was a dynamic microphone, it still was picking up the sounds. So you saw I kind of reorganized some of my stuff, and right here I have my kick mic all the way at the end. So it's the first thing that I'm working with. So that's what I'm working with. Let's listen to it. Cool. So, you know, we just kind of cut out some of the highs. So like the cymbals not coming through so crazy. And if I wanted to, I could find that kick in the rack, and Reason actually has some cool effects. So I'll show you one of the effects that they have. If you go to the factory sounds and then you go to all effect patches and you find dynamics, should be, you can find a gate, and there's a gate inside of here. Let me see, is that where I want it to be? Drum gate. So there's a drum gate, and we can actually drag that drum gate over to our kick. And when we drag it over, so now we've completely gotten rid of the bleed that was happening, right? And so we got rid of the bleed, but this is a very specific use case. We recorded live drums. So what you might do, your kick might not have any bleed. It's probably a sample that you got from a sample pack, right? It's probably a sample that you got from the sample pack. So with that, you know, you might not have any bleed, but I have some bleed. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna unsolo that, and I'm gonna just kind of give myself a little bit of sound so I can hear. And then what we might do is we might actually A/B compare the difference between having that drum gate on and having that drum gate off, right? So a little bit of that is some sound design, but some of that is actually part of the mix. Just depends on, like I said, the style of music that you're using. So for me, I kind of like that. It's a little cleaner than what it sounded like before. And then, of course, you can actually play around with the drum gate to get a different feel. So when I turned on that punch, and now the kick has a little more attack to it. So the drum gate it was cutting off a lot of the transient at the beginning of the drum kick. So now when I turn on the punch, it actually opens up some of those transients and lets the punch come through a little bit more. So let's go back to the actual mixing of it, you know, in terms of loudness and a level, because we want to mix to give us a loudness and a level. One of the first things that you saw me do was I added a low pass filter. And the reason why is because that cuts out all of these frequencies above, you know, this number. So the tip that I'm giving you is to cut first, boost second. So somebody, you know, if you're in the chat, you can, you know what I'm saying, put that in the chat, cut first, boost second. You don't want to go in boosting everything up. You want to start kind of at a lower volume, and then, you know, work your way around those frequencies. Maybe you add in some frequencies around where the drum that you're working with lives. So for example, for a kick, we can see it in our reason analyzer. We can actually see it if we play the kick. So we can see all of the energy is happening right around here between 80 and 160 hertz. So it's a lot of energy there. Of course, a high pass filter would also help get rid of the muddiness of that kick. So we're going to turn on our high pass filter to get rid of the mud, low pass filter to get rid of some of the highs. And then we see that we can actually turn on, I like to use the, sometimes I like to use the bell. Sometimes I like to use the shelf. It just depends on what I'm working with. So I'm going to turn on the low frequency bell, so that way I can actually manipulate this as a bell. If I don't have that on, if I don't have the bell on, then it acts as a shelf. So a shelf is, it kind of raises like this, whereas the bell, it gives you a specific point that it's actually, pointing at, right? Another tip that you might do is you might actually, if you hold control when you press this, it'll actually snap it back to the regular size. One thing that you might do is like boost a lot of a frequency. So you can do what's called a sweep. So when you do this sweep, you're looking for where it doesn't sound good, right? And you might not necessarily do a sweep for each individual instrument, but there are times where doing a sweep will be very beneficial for you. So like right there, right? When we got right there, we could hear it's loud, but there's like some thump there. So we might use that frequency, which is around 65 hertz. We might boost that frequency just a tad, right, if we wanted to. But I don't want to boost anything just yet. I actually want to see if there's some things I can take out. And so I want to take out a little bit of this mid-range. Yeah, right in there. I want to take some of that out. It's just giving me like boxiness, some stuff that I don't want. I don't want that. So we take out some of that. We've cut out all of this high side. So now we've kind of shaped this kick to a different sound, right? So that's some different things that we could do. And of course, you just want to always be A/B testing. You listen to it and check it out and see how you hear it. I'm loving you guys, what you're doing in the chat. Please, if you could at this time, if you could leave a like on the video. I see that there are some tips that are coming through, and everybody that's featured in my chat that I've seen, they're all heavy producers. They're all heavy in this industry. So if you're watching and you're listening, I vouch for them, as I hope they will vouch for me. So the tips that I'm seeing come up are great. Everybody just has some, everybody has just different styles, right? Different flavors that they do things. But the general gist of what I'm giving you guys is basically just some tips that could help you depending on whatever your style is. Cut your frequencies before you boost your frequencies. Some people like to start with their faders up. They start with their faders at 0, like I just saw Catchy Noise say. Some people do a general mix and then they go around and mix everything. It's really just totally up to you. So now let's just do some, we can actually see that this kick is peaking pretty hard. So we're just gonna pull it down. I'm gonna check out this drum gate. I don't know if I like this drum gate no more. Yeah, I don't like what the drum gate is doing. It's doing a lot of, it's adding like way too much attack. Yeah, we're gonna turn that drum gate off for now. But it's a tool, it's there if you ever need it, you could use it. All right, cool. So right now our kick is coming through and we're coming right around 12 dB. If you hold shift while you're moving the fader, you can move it ever so slightly, but also be careful because shift is so you can select multiple tracks. So just be careful with that as well. But what I was saying was if you hold shift while you're moving the fader, it will move it very slowly, very slightly. So it's very hard to like move it a lot if you're holding shift. If you're not holding shift, then you can really move it a lot. So usually I will try to get the kick to come in around 12 dB or so. Y'all let me know. Does that sound like a good number? I usually like the kick to come in around 12, right before it starts showing that yellow. And I'll use that as a base. So like right there, it's still coming into the yellow. So we'll turn it down a little bit more. Cool. So when we get to our loudest part of that kick, it's not going past our -10 spot. Willie Jackson says he likes -10 dB. I'm going to go ahead and use 12. 12 is right there on our meter. We can kind of see it. Yeah, I probably can't see it because you probably can't see it because my face is in the way. But anyway, in terms of my listening volume, that's a good question. So for me, I have my headphones up as loud as it can go. So I'm using the Focusrite Scarlett, and these headphones are the ATH M50X, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So basically, I have my Focusrite headphone knob cranked all the way to the top. So I'm listening as loud as it can go, but I'm mixing very low, right? Because I want my levels and I want everything inside of the mix to be lower. I use headphones to mix right now, specifically because I'm doing the live stream. So it just depends on what I'm doing. Of course, also, I'm in this garage, and this garage is not the best. This garage is not the best way to get a good, sound for like a sound environment, a sound room. So I would probably hear a lot of reflections, even though I have a ton of like, studio foam in specific places to cut down on reflections. I have a cloud above my head with fiberglass in it, so it cuts off up there at the top. I have some bass traps. I got a bunch of different stuff, but it's still a freaking huge garage. So that just, it just doesn't help for the reflections and things mixing. But when I do mix with, I usually try to just listen. I'll sit on the couch and just listen. And I'm using the M Audio BX5s when I'm listening with my monitors. So I'm actually gonna just go ahead and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Just making sure that these faders are where I want them to be. So we have our kick. I'm gonna add in this snare mic. I like that. That's a good tip. So what I can hear from this snare mic, just listening to it, it kind of sounds a little thin, but it is coming in crisp. So I don't necessarily want to like cut. I don't want to cut out these frequencies because I like how crisp they're coming in. But I'm going to cut just a little bit. And it's really a listening process. It's like, what are you listening for? Why did I cut some of those highs instead of boosting the lows? Because we cut first and boost second. And the reason why we're cutting the highs is because the way our listening and our ears work, you don't always have to boost something in order to get the sound that you want. If you want something to sound warmer, you could actually just cut out some of those highs. If you want something to sound clearer or crispier, you can cut out some of the lows. It's going to make it thin, but these are some ideas that you want to think about when it comes to your mix, because you just don't want to have a lot of frequencies all over the place. If you're trying to get like a clean mix, you want to kind of use some of these properties, some of these ideas when you're going through your mix process. So I always make sure to cut first and boost second. So let's do a sweep with this one, just so we're not getting any bad frequencies. Boosting can also introduce some unwanted noise. Exactly. Let me make a little loop here and make sure my loop is on. So my loop wasn't on. Okay, cool. E mode, E mode. I almost like the way the kick sounds better on I like the way the kick sounds better on the snare mic than I necessarily do on the kick mic. So, you know, that's something that's part of the sampling process, right? It's like, okay, well, when you're recording, you definitely want to have high quality recordings and high quality samples. So sometimes there's nothing you can do about those things. Sometimes you get what you get. You got what you got, right? So we want to just make sure that we're listening as we're going, and we want to make sure that we're getting good recordings from the beginning, and then that way when it comes time to mix, everything sounds better. I'm gonna take out some of that kick, so that we can have the kick. So on this, I'm sure I have, yeah, and I do. And actually, let me show you something that I did. So I actually did a sweep earlier when I first was making the beat. I actually added in some stuff, and that's something that I would tend to do. But that's something that you might not want to do if you are a producer and you're mixing the same thing you're producing. You might want to shy away from using, effects and things that's for the mix while you're making your production. Like I said, you want to kind of keep those things separate. One thing is about mixing, the other thing is about creating. But sometimes in the process, to get the sound you want, you might have to do that. So here you can see with this EQ that I have right here, you can see I actually cut right at that frequency right there, because that's where that hi-hat was coming in. So if I turn it off, that hi-hat is going to be a lot louder actually. Cool. So let's move on to our next instrument. And it's pretty much the process in which that I would do. There is some compression happening here. Basically, I think that was during the recording process. If you want, you can use the compressor that Reason has, so that you can get, some, just so it's not so loud in places you don't want to be so loud. So, typically if your ratio is going above 10 or 8, then you're getting more into the territory of limiters. So, a soft ratio, something between 2 and 5, a soft ratio, that's more of like a compression. But once you start cranking that ratio up super high, especially like at the very top, that's a limiter. That's a limiter. As soon as the sound gets to whatever your threshold is, it's dropping that sound immediately. So you just want to watch your ratio. So maybe we keep our ratio at about 5, and let's listen. I don't want to hear this just yet. You also don't want it to feel like it's just like doing a lot of pumping, anything like that. So I might give that snare mic a little bit more juice. Cool. So now let's add in those. I usually, let's say if I'm building up from the bottom, then I might go bass next, especially like 808s, right? Like, you know, most people are using kicks and 808s. And so you kind of want to focus in those ranges. And so I might go bass next. So you can hear that this bass is coming pretty low. So now, so somebody was mentioning the gain staging. So this is one of those times where that would be applicable, because our electric bass is coming in very, very soft. But if I have the electric bass way up here and my kick drum, the level is right down there, that doesn't make sense. You have to really use your senses when you're mixing, and you use all of them. So you use your sight, you use your, how does it feel, you use what you see, right? You're really using everything. So if we have to pull our bass up that high, then that means we're not getting enough sound through the fader, and that just doesn't make sense. That's not what you would do if it was a real mixing board, a real mixing console, and you imagine this is a line coming into the console. You want to gain stage and get that line where you can hear it, especially like a mic or something. You don't want to just throw your levels way up here because you're trying to make it louder, right? You don't want to necessarily do that. So it's two ways that you could do it. Of course, inside of this electric bass, they have a volume, so you can turn up the volume there. What someone was mentioning earlier was about the gain that's way up here at the very top. It's almost to the point where you would even forget that they even have that availability. But you can actually increase your gain using this knob at the top. So I'll show you right now. It's set to 0 right now. So if I turn it up, now, even though the level is still where it's at, it's coming in louder, right? And so there's different ways that you can use that process. I actually don't tend to use that at all. This little gain knob, I usually don't tend to use it. So I think that was Catchy Noise. Catchy Noise dropped some more knowledge on using the gain up here at the top for your gain staging. I would appreciate it. We all would appreciate it. We all learning together. So it just really just depends on what you're going for, right? So that's how that goes. So I'm gonna actually increase the volume with our volume. So with this electric bass, I would actually add in a compressor. I would actually add something in just so I can get I like the velocity that's happening, but there's some points in the bass where it's like, man, you just don't hear anything at all. So rather go, instead of going to my sequencer, I'm going to actually use a compressor in this case. Now there might be other cases where, like I said, if I'm still okay, he's gain stage with third-party program. So if I'm still using my mixing brain, then I don't want to go into the sequencer and start messing around with MIDI notes. I don't want to do that. I want to stick with my mixing brain. And so my mixing brain would tell me something is too loud, or it's getting too loud, too soft, too loud, too soft. You need a compressor. You need a compressor when something like that's happening. So let's add a compressor in. We add a little bit of input gain. We make sure our threshold is coming in. And like I said, we want to keep our ratio a little low. Since this is a bass, we can actually add in a little more attack. It's not like a kick where we would be like softening the transient, right? We want to kind of leave some room for the compressor to actually work. So what we're trying to do is we're not trying to cut so much of the bass. We actually are just trying to add in some sound. So let's ease off on the threshold. Boom, bum, ba, boom, boom, bum, ba, boom, bum, da, boom, boom, bum, ba, boom. Okay, and about this time, now that I have 3 instruments in, I would go back and check my levels, and I would check my meter. Reason has a couple different places that you can check your meter in. So if you go to your rack, F6, you go to your rack, then you can go to your audio. And when you go to your audio, they have this big meter here. And so with the big meter, they have different modes that you can check. I usually leave mines in peak, just peak. If I can get it there, I usually leave it in peak, and then we'll check to see where is my sound going? Where's the loudest that it's going? Is it still giving me that -12 that we want, or is it getting too loud? And here we can see we're coming in right below -12. So, you know, and that's what we want. That's what I want. I want it to be below that. I don't want it to be jumping into this area, you know, to use that word that we probably all heard before, headroom. We want to leave some headroom when we're mixing, because if we have this mix and everything sounds good low, then when we start cranking up that volume, we should get a similar effect. We should actually hear it sound louder, but it still sound good. So that's why it's important to listen with good headphones and a good preamp, where you can actually make what you're hearing louder if you want it to be louder. Don't make the music when you're mixing louder. You might need to turn up your headphones in order so that you can hear what the program is producing. It's way too much cut. So this is a bass, you know, this is a bass, so we don't want to cut too much of the sub out, because we get to cutting the sub out, and in the bass you just won't feel any of the subs. So, you know, you want to keep track of those frequencies that the human ear actually can't hear and resonate with. You want to actually keep that in mind as well. Not 100% sure what my bit depth is. I think I'm at whatever the standard is. Should be 40, 44 probably. So, but we want to cut, you know, because there's muddiness in those frequencies. So below 40 hertz, human ear can't even really check it. It can't test for it. I think it's above 18,000. So way up here in this area, we really can't, you know, it's not, these are areas that you don't want. Yep, that should be it. 44. I can check it later. And double check what bit rate I'm at. So with this bass line, there might be tones that we really like in the bass line. And so we've cut first already. Let's see if there's some frequencies we really like. Something right around there. Okay, and then when you are using, I hope my computer can take those bit rates that you're trying to tell me to use. 48K usually is for like movies and things. 48 sample rate usually is for like high quality like movies and film and stuff like that. I hope my computer can handle all that. But nonetheless, still good stuff. Like I said, still good stuff. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. Okay, cool. Okay, making room for your other instruments, right? We know where we want our bass to be. We know where we want our kick to be. These roads don't need to be living where that kick and that bass is. So if we want, we know that our kick is coming in at 90. And if we want, we can just kind of cut some of that out so that, you know, it's not interfering. We want to make sure that we give uh, room for what we want to shine. So, you know, usually just kind of cut some of the bass out of other instruments to make room. So you make room for each instrument, right? You're making room for what you want to hear and what you want to hear more of and what you want to hear less of. So this is one of the radical keys sound, and it has like a overdrive one. I think it's just it's a little more overdrive than I would like. It's not giving me a feeling of sound. It's giving me more of a feeling of distortion. And that's what I would rather have. I would rather have the sound be crisp, and give me a certain kind of, you know, feel, a certain kind of timbre, than it to just sound like it's just distorted. So I'm getting some good information here on these bit rates and things. So 48K 32-bit gives you the most opportunity for headroom. I'm gonna take your word for it, because like it's one of them things I haven't done any study or information on. So Great Keys and Catchy Noise dropping that gem. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. I don't even actually know. Like I said before, I don't actually know where I am. I don't want to. I hope I don't crash nothing. I'm not gonna change it now, but um, let me see. Yeah, I'm at 44. I don't even know what the other one is. So I'll go through and I'll go through and I'll check that out, and I'll report back to you guys. I'll report back my findings. Uh, okay, this one's not being used in this beat. So for this synth line, it's actually not, there's nothing, the majority of the energy is in this mid range. Of course, Catchy Noise. So the majority of this energy is right here in this mid range. So we actually want to, you know, we don't need that bass. We don't need any of those frequencies, just in case, you know, the software, the instrument might be creating some of those frequencies. We don't even want any of them. So we just gonna cut them. We don't need them. We don't need any of these high frequencies. We don't necessarily need much of those high frequencies either, so we're going to cut them. Make room for that cymbal crash that's coming through. Make room for some of those high notes that's coming in on the roads, right? You just make room for your different things, and you kind of level things how you want them to be. So now hearing some of the instruments coming in, now that I have like an idea of how it's coming together, I kind of want to bring down this snare and hi-hat just a little bit, because it just kind of feels like it's still a little too present. It's too present in the mix. Exactly, exactly. It's different mindsets. It's different mindsets for different reasons, right? Different processes, because when you have a song, you got vocals and you got like different parts of the song, right? So the hook, the verse, different things might need to sound louder or softer in different parts of the song. So it's just a different formula. It's a different formula all around, right? It's a different formula all around. So the last thing I think we're missing in this beat that we had was the actual guitar. So let's bring that in. Is this it? That's not the one. Must be this one over here. I made like 5 beats. Oh, that was another thing that I did that was kind of cool. I remember somebody was like, yeah, man, the way you make beats, you should probably use blocks more. And so when I was making beats, I actually used blocks. So I actually made like 4 different beats. That's how they should have did this beat. This beat was kind of cool too. So I actually did like 3 or 4 different beats. So yeah, see, and I really like the way it's the same kick. I mean, it's the same drum file across all of the beats. It's just different parts of the recording. And so I even like the way the kick sounds in those other beats in comparison. So if I was looking for what I was looking for, I achieved. I went in and I was looking for a sound in my mix, and I was able to achieve it because I like the flavor and the sound of what I'm getting. And that's what you need to be looking for. There's industry standards, there's, client standards, and then there's like your standards. And so, you really want to go in and say, what is it that, the person is looking for? They want to have a specific kind of feel. They want their beat to sound like something from, Airbit or BeatStars. You want to have that feel, then you probably are going to be mixing in a way that might introduce some noise, like we talked about earlier. You might mix in a way that's gonna overcompensate for sounds or something of that nature. It really just depends on what you're getting, but it's a specific sound that exists there, so it's for a specific use case. And like I said, and by no means am I attempting to say that I'm the mix engineer. Like I just know some things about Reason, so I wanted to share some of the things that I know and maybe my process, and maybe through my process then you could actually use my process and learn some things, apply it to your process, take the good with the bad, just take it all and just learn as we go. Let me hear this one. I'm going to break my cardinal rule number 1 that I said, which was don't change your hats when you're mixing and working. But I like the way that this guitar sounds over the other guitar, so we're going to use that one. Look how dramatic that is. So this is dramatic compression, right? This is like way too much. This is what I mean by having that ratio so high and that threshold so low, right? The higher you have it, the more it's just gonna just cut it. It's more like a limiter. So we're bringing down the 4. Diddy said the soul is in the mid range. Great Keys, explain that when you say a reference tracks into the session. What do you mean by that? Give me some more understanding so I can maybe try that. Mix is sounding great. Nice round, warm bottom, great mids. Another thing I do is bring in a reference track into the session. What do you mean by bring a reference track into the session? How would you do it? Okay, let me see what he's saying. Whose meaning just have maybe one or two for songs that's in the same lane is the record. Do you mix in one that you feel? I think you mean a track you're trying to mix the sound toward and then match it up. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. A reference track, like something else. Well, I would do something like that, but I wouldn't do it here on the stream live because I would. That's usually what I do. Like that's what I did for Mute and AB. One thing I would do for like God, oh, it's booming now. So one thing I did for that other song, the Child of God. One thing I did for that one was I actually I was playing like a different Migos song with it because I was like, yeah, I wanted to have that feel, that vibe, and that's what I did. So it's kind of like Christian rap meets Migos. Um, into my actual tech, yeah, I get you. Yeah, okay, I get you. Okay, so another thing that I might do, another thing someone else might do, is kind of separate different sections of your instruments. So like for example, now I have a bus where I have the drums, and I have a bus where I have the other instruments. So if I want, I can actually, use this bus, and I can do something to this bus. I can kind of bring the sound up or something. I can manipulate all of the sounds at one time because I feel like I like the level that I'm at, but I kind of might want to like increase all of the sounds without changing the fader. So I might do something like that. So here's my drum bus. Let me see, here's my instruments bus. So on the instruments bus, maybe I'll do something like that. Maybe I'll add in something up in here, up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me lose my cool. Maybe I'll add in this compressor and just give it a little input. Give it a little input, maybe a little output, just to raise the volume a little bit. See what I mean? We just kind of brought up, we just kind of bring up all of the instruments. All right. So that way we have that. We have the drums over there. And we have that bus. So if I had some other kind of effects, um, still in mixing mode, maybe if I wanted to bring in like some saturation, there's a couple different things that you can do in Reason to kind of give it a little saturation, to kind of give it some feeling, some vibe. So we have the Audiomatic Retro Transformer, and these might be things that other people are like, I would never use that, or like, you might not actually use it. But they have a couple different things, and so like I might add in like a Scream 4 distortion, or like a what's the other thing? I might add this in though, and set it to tape. Turn down my damage. Let me see. Turn up this master, and then kind of add in. It's way too much. Hold on, y'all. All right, that was wifey calling. Okay, so I hear a lot of like nice different things in terms of like what everyone's watching. Pulverizer, that's one I couldn't think of the name of. I don't know what I was getting ready to call it. Audiomatic on the master before the master compressor. That's something too, right? So I added in the Audiomatic, and then you gotta kind of be like generous with what you're giving it, right? You kind of gotta be a little generous with what you're giving it, because the effect will like it'll come through. It'll come through. So depending on what you give it, it'll come through. So you gotta like, find that sweet spot of what you want. I'm gonna try that. Okay, so Willie Jackson Jr. says parallel the kick and smash the compressor. So I'm gonna set up how I would do it. I'm gonna set up how I would do it, and while I'm setting up how I would do it, you tell me how you would do it, and we'll go from there. I don't want to do it at that one. No, I'm mixing in stereo. So I know like there's a couple different things you can do, like very advanced like mixing stuff that you can do, right? And when you have the space for it, then it makes sense. So, you can mix in, you can get good monitors, A good mix engineer will have multiple monitors. So for example, you would have some nice big beefy monitors so you can get your bass and low end. You might have some nice smaller monitors. Maybe they're better for just your highs, and then some mid monitors that's just mids. And then that way you can mix, in just those mid monitors, right? As well as setting up a mono, mix, and mixing in mono. And as you notice, if you're looking at, if you take a look at my mixing channels, everything is already set to, there's not any stereo changes. I haven't done any panning in any of this mix. One of the reasons why is because of limitations, because of the stream. If I panned it in the stream, you wouldn't hear the difference anyway. You wouldn't hear the difference. I would hear the difference, but you wouldn't hear the difference because of the way that my routing is set up in the stream. But mixing in mono, mixing in mid, like mixing with just mid speakers, both of those are really good, good ideas, good tricks for you to get better mixes out of your mix. Yeah. All right, let's do that. Where we at? Let's get this pulverizer in there. Now, when you use this pulverizer, would you use any of their patches, or how would you set up your pulverizer? All right, Willie Jackson has broken it down how you can actually set up a mono mix in Reason. Something I've never done. I've never done that. I've never done that. $780 said, I think I've been using the pulverizer wrong. How would you use it, $780? I use a mono switch in Reason using the imager. Yeah, a couple different. Man, I mean, listen. I hope everybody is getting. A great stream, man. I hope everybody is getting some. I hope you're all getting something out of this stream. Like I said, we're just jumping. It's a whole lot of good information being dropped inside of the stream. Hopefully you're getting something from all ends. I really appreciate you guys. Stephanie, I'm still going, by the way. Don't think I'm like closing out or anything like that. I'm still going. I'm just saying I appreciate y'all. And in all of the mix and everything that we're doing, we're still not going over -12. Right? That's the idea. So we've added in, we've added in a parallel to the kick. We've added in some nice we added in some nice instrument saturation to the instruments, and a little more volume to the instruments. If we're looking at our faders and in terms of how our faders are looking, they're looking exactly how they should be looking. We have our kick is up. We want our kick to be up. We want the kick to come through. And like I said, in terms of the mix, in terms of our leveling, there's more leveling than anything. In terms of our leveling, our level is right where we want things to be. So nothing is fighting with each other. Everything kind of sounds good. Let's just give a listen. So now this is what I drag, because when I'm making beats and stuff. So we made sure that we named our beat. We made sure we named our beat something different. Originally, I had this mix, and it's kind of whatever it was, the leveling that I was doing while I was making the beat. So I'm just gonna actually bring down the volume of the master. This is a different mix, right? So I'm actually just gonna bring down the volume until I get where I want to be. Oh, I'm missing instruments. I'm glad I did that. Okay, cool. So I'm missing some instruments. So I'm actually missing these percussions. Where's percussions at? There they are. Yeah. That's all we're missing. I know I was missing something. I'm so mad that the percussion really just did something. It just did a whole lot. All right. So that would pretty much be like pretty much what I would like kind of do for a mix. -4 dB is good, bro, on the master fader. Mastering prefer that level. So we're coming in at -12, and that's like where we're coming in terms of this mix. This is like a very like lenient, soft mix. But two things. So one thing you could do is you can use this master compressor bus to kind of bring your level up. I like I like where we are. I like where we are in terms of that. So if I have that, I like the way that parallel kick is coming in. So if I have that, then if I have that, let's say I have that and I call that my mix, and I say, okay, that's my mix. Things are where I want them to be. I have all of the sounds. Keys, duh, got the kick, the snares. This is nothing in this beat. All right. So let's say we have that where I want that to be. And reason, sometimes what I've done, if I just want volume, then I'll just use this master section in the beat, right? And that's one way that I can do it. But I'm going to do a different way because I don't want to do that. So I'm actually going to make sure that that master section is bypassed. And then I'm going to export this song as a file. And we'll call this our mixed version. We'll export it as a wave. We'll hit save. We'll choose 48. Okay, so is this where you would choose? Let me see. This is where you would choose our 24 and 48. Would you do your export here at 24 and 48? I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna export it at those settings, and then I'm gonna go back and export it at the other settings. And then we're going to actually take this file and drop it back into Reason in a completely new, fresh file. Samuel Walker, what's good, man? Thanks for joining us as I was waiting for that to finish exporting. I would say not 100% sure what you're asking. Somebody in the chat, break that down for me. Break that down what he's asking. I'm late to the party, so sorry if this question has been asked. At what volume should all instruments / vocals hit to have a good balance? You're asking two different things in that question. That's the problem. So balance is about, when I hear the word balance, I'm not even thinking left, right. I'm thinking this sounds loud, this sounds soft. And so it really is not about the overall volume, really. It's really about how you have things mixed. Because you could have your kick hitting at, like Willie Jackson just said, you can have your kick hitting at -10, but everything else is not -10. Like, it's really about getting all of the sounds to sound how you want them to sound. You get me? Like, just having your meters at any one specific level is not gonna do it. And you can't just use the meters either. You can't just use the meters. You got to use your ears. All right, he got his answer he was looking for. Cool. Moving on. He said, "Thanks, Willie." Oh man, that works for me. Let me see. I'll put a 2 here. I'm gonna export this wave again, and I'm gonna do 16 at 44. So now I have a different one. That makes sense. Brian Jordan, what's good, man? It's good to see you back in the building. So I'm actually exporting those files, and we're gonna export those files. We're gonna open Reason up again, and then we're gonna drop the file inside of Reason again. And so now I would switch my hat again one last time. I'm switching my hat now. I'm switching it into master. Okay, so if the mix is for a level and it's, hey, we want everything to sound good, the mix is for a level. We want everything to sound good. The master is for, we want everything to sound and reach unity gain. We want everything to hit 0 and sound good. So there's also different flavors for mastering. And to be 100% honest with you, like I said earlier, this is about giving you guys some tips, some tips and some overall ideas about mixing and mastering. I don't have a diamond selling song that I can show you. I mix and mastered and it's on Apple Music and it has award winning. I don't have any of that for you. All I have is an idea of how you can get a better sound inside of Reason, or at least my process for doing it. And thankfully we've had Reason Gang in the building to also add in some ideas and some thoughts and some tips. And so combining those with the chat and what I've been showing, hopefully you have something you can leave and take with you some better knowledge about mixing and mastering. Now, the whack part about what I just did is I have no clue what I named that beat. Garage Session. I have no clue what I named the beat. I have no clue where I saved it. So let's just see if we can find it, because I don't even know. All right, so a tip for that is just go back and just export it again, and this time it'll show you. Okay, so it's 00 music production just in the folder. Okay, cool. Never mind that, folks. Documents, music production, there they are. So I have 2 versions of this file. One is so we have an empty. All right, so now we are back in Reason and we have a empty Reason rack, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to add in those 2, one of the waves that we just created. So here's the first one. This is with the 48, believe 48 at 24. Look at that wave file, it's so thin. I don't know. I can't really necessarily tell a difference. I'm sure that there's some other stuff. Chris, get into the habit of putting an underscore followed by the bit and rate numbers at the end. I'm gonna keep that in mind, because I just exported it and I didn't pay attention to it. I just put a 2. So for sure. And explain to me again why the bit rates, why they matter. What is it doing? Explain to the people in the chat one more time, man. Why does it matter? What is it doing? How does it help? Okay, while he's doing that, we're just gonna check our meters. So we're gonna open our hardware interface. We have our big meter here. I would hope that Reason would make another window like this one where it's the meters. I think that would be cool. I think that would be useful, because other than that, you get your mixer, and so you can see this meter here, but it's really tiny. And then you get in the rack, you get the big meter, but again, it's just there. So maybe I want a bigger meter, I guess. I don't know. Or just one that is, like I said, one that is away from the rack where you can move it around in a window. So let's check that meter and make sure we're still getting -12. No, we're not. Oh, I turned on the master section. That's why. Still hitting right around here, right around -17, -18, not -18, around negative like 14 or so. Right up in here. It's not passing -12. not passing -12 at all. So now we're going to turn on our master section. And we have been using we've only been using Reason stock in order to mix. And so we're only going to use Reason stock in order to master. Now, Reason has a lot of different pre-made patches and styles and things of that nature that you can use. When it comes to this mastering, they have a hip hop, gentle mastering. They have all this stuff. The only thing that's worth anything is two things. It's two of them that's worth something for me. One is default mastering suite. That's whatever is already in here. If when you open your mastering suite, there's nothing here, right? If your master section is like this, then when you add in the default mastering suite, that is actually what you're adding in. So we open those devices, and that's what you see. It has everything that you pretty much will need. It has everything that you pretty much will need in order for you to be able to get your sound, your music louder and get it to 0 dB while it's still sounding good. The only other thing that we're going to do in this process is sweep. We're going to sweep for harsh frequencies again, and we're going to pull down those harsh frequencies because as it gets louder, right, those frequencies start to come out more. So the louder that the music gets, their harshness might come out more. So now we can find some of the harshness and we can pull that harshness. We can pull those frequencies down. The other one that I am partial to, in order to find it, you have to go to Factory Sounds, All Effect Patches, Dynamics, General Purpose, and then it's this one. I actually like using this Class A. It's right here. I already have them ready. I didn't even notice. Class A 2-band compressor. So it just gives you 2 bands, a high and a low. And that's great for, if you have a sound that, has some high and low frequencies and you want to just add some compression to both of those simultaneously. But the multi-band compressor is what I like to add in. So depending on the style and flavor, that's what I like to use. Willie Jackson says, if you are confident in your mixing, you only need the maximizer now, right? Because the maximizer literally is what you're going to use to have a limiter and to be able to use this limiter here in this section and the soft clip and just drive up your input gain, right? Drive it up until you're hitting 0 dB. And now I know that this multi-band compressor is going to do some different things. And so I almost want to take my headphones off. Well, actually, let me just turn this volume down. You guys turn your volume down too. Oh, it wasn't as bad. Oh, it's not as bad. Cool. All right, so Reason makes it easy. They have a big knob here for master gain. We want to hit this 0. We're going to turn it up. That red means we've hit 0. And then the limiter turned on. So that's why we didn't clip. That's what that red, when it hits the red at the meter right there, but it doesn't hit clip, our limiter is keeping it from clipping. So it's actually hitting 0. It's actually clipping, but the limiter is pulling it down right where it should be. And that's why we're not getting that problem. If you turn off the soft clip and you turn off the limiter, you're definitely going to get a clip. You're definitely going to get a clip. All right, cool. So we'll reset the clip. We'll turn on our limiter. We'll turn on our soft clip. And hard limiter, soft limiter, How you clip your music is totally up to you, the sound that you get. But just know that the limiter's job, this maximizer here, M-class maximizer, its job is to boost the sound without letting it peak. So you can turn off this limiter and just use the soft clip. And then let me just reset that, and it still won't clip. And what it's doing is it's rounding off the very top of the sound, the frequency. It rounds it off so that it doesn't go over the 0 dB. Of course, you can turn off soft clip and then you can just use the limiter. We have to make sure that this, we have to turn on, if we're just going to do this kind of limiter, then you have to turn on the 4 millisecond look ahead and 0 dB for output gain. You can drive up this input gain as much as you want to taste. Let's reset these. Come on now, you're making me a liar. Limiter, 4 millisecond look ahead. Multi-band compressor. See, sometimes flip this rack. Equalizer. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna keep the soft clip because it's, for one, it's clipping, but it's a routing situation. It's a routing thing that's making it do that, I think. Nonetheless, we're gonna keep our soft clip on. Gonna turn it down a little bit, and yeah, well, let's listen. I keep trying to save it. That's why. All right, and that's it. That's it right there. So we are hitting our 0 dB where we want it. I got this thing cranked. I have the 0B, the Scarlett is cranked, and I'm not hearing any harsh frequencies. You tell me if you are. So as I'm turning this music up and I'm listening to it in the headphones, I'm listening for parts of the music that get too loud. I'm listening for parts of the music that I'm looking for parts of the music that, you know, kind of stand out too much. It giving me a hiss, giving me a static, giving me any kind of issue, giving me any kind of pop, something that I don't want, something I don't want to hear. And as I'm going loud, you know, like sometimes you'll hear music and it sounds like there's harmonics in it that you don't like. It sounds boxy. It doesn't sound clear. It doesn't sound this or that, right? There's different things that you can do in order to get a better sound. And so as I'm listening to this beat and to this mix and to this quote unquote master, if you will, I'm actually hearing that it sounds good. I'm not hearing, like, there is no necessary need to do a sweep of harsh frequencies because none of the frequencies are standing out. I think with this production, the main thing about this production would be sound selection. Because there are way cleaner can't talk. There are way cleaner drums out there than these drums. But this was from a live stream that I did, and I wanted to have fun. And that's always what ends up happening with me. I want to have fun when I'm making music. I want to have fun when I'm mixing music. I want to have fun when I'm doing any of these things. If it ever comes to a point where I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, then we are in a bad place. And we don't want to be in a bad place. So I wanted to play my live drum set. So I played my live drum set and we had some fun, you know. Let me see. Where is it at? I wanted to play my live drum set. We played the live drum set and we had some fun. We had some fun doing that. Let me switch over to the. Yeah, I wanted to play my drums, so hooked up my drums, recorded them live, hooked up a microphone, recorded some guitar live, and that was fun. And so, but like I was saying, I think the things that would make this sound better would be sound selection. So, you know, maybe I like the Rhodes. The Rhodes on it is nice, but maybe having a different bass, maybe having different drums. Of course, everything that you heard was stock Reason as well. Um, but maybe having, you know, some different sounds and maybe taking some time on the sequence, of course, because it was only like a very short track, right? But Legend of Zelda, man. We gonna fan out. We gonna fan out on Legend of Zelda for a second. Let me just finish this little portion of what I was saying. So I think that the mix sounds good, and we kept it at below -12. Other people have different ideas for where you can keep your sound at, but as you can see, we were able to get a good mix, and we were able to take that sound from -12 dB all the way up to unity gain at 0, and we don't have any artifacts, we don't have any noise, we don't have any issues or distortion in the beat. We can listen back to it. It's loud. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's exactly where we want it to be. So we want to be hitting 0. And for some people, they might drive that input gain, they might drive that output gain way up because they want it to sound loud. But I'm smooth. I want to, what I'm saying? So it's just a little above gentle mastering for me. So I like using that multi-band compressor. Just drop that thing in, and if you have a good mix, it will do all that it needs to do. I didn't have to change anything, fix anything. Um, um, it was good to go. It was good to go. I think the only other thing I might do is take out some of those low mids, something around the 100 to 300 range. If you take some of that out, then you lose some of the boxiness that you might have in your mix. If you add in some of the around the 2.5 to 4,000 range, if you add some of that, you can get some of your mid highs, and you can get a little bit of you can get a little more crispiness. You can turn down your low shelf. You can turn up your high shelf if you want that kind of a feel in terms of your EQ, to get a different feel for your EQ. One of the things that I was thinking about when I think about how a mix sounds in a car, whenever you get into somebody's car, most of the time, if you turn on their equalizer, it's never set to flat. It's never set to 0. Usually the bass is turned up, the mid is turned down, and the high is turned up when you're in someone's car. So you kind of think about that when you're doing your mix and your master. Is my music too loud? Is it too high? Is the bass too bassy? Because when they're listening to it, they have their different EQ presets on and stuff, and it's gonna sound different. It's gonna sound different in the car. So that's why you mix and master for that reason. You want to get it to a position where, regardless of how they, use their EQ on their iPhone or in their car or whatever, that your music still sounds good. And that's the point of mixing and mastering. There is some saturation that you can add or take out. There is some different tools that you can use. For example, stereo imaging, but we don't have any stereo elements in this track necessarily. So we could widen the track, or we could, narrow the track to where, the different elements that's happening in the left and the right. But for this track, everything is pretty much just narrow. There's not a lot of panning happening or stereo field happening. And that's fine, because you can use that and think about other genres of music. Now you have the stereo field. Now you have the artists, the vocalists can work in that stereo field now. Now they can do some work in the panning. They can maybe do an offset with their voice where, they pan left and right and do a little offset with the delay, and they can get creative, because now the stereo field is broad. It's open. It's an open lane for them to work. You think of LeBron coming down, what I'm saying, the court. It's open lane. He can do whatever he want to do. What I'm saying, he could stop at the 3-point, hit the three, or he could take it to the hole. He can do a crazy dunk, or he could just lay it up, or he could do something like some of these other crazy players do, and they have a wide open lane, and then they get down and then they miss the shot. I don't know, but the point of the matter is, because of the way that the beat is created and the song is mixed, we have room. We have room for a vocalist, and we have room for an artist. All right, so that was a lot of talking. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that I have this saved, and I'll save as, and I'll do this, and then I'll do master. And I'll save that. And because we know we're hitting our 0 dB, we're hitting what we want to hit, we can export it again. So now we're going through a second round of exporting wave. Now this is our master, and I'll try that sample rate again with the 48. We'll do another round of exporting. And now this export, oh man, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop, delete. You have to move this in marker. Move that in marker, move that there. Also for mixing and, for mixing and mastering, the mastering stage is where you would add in things like fades, like fading your music out. This is where you want to add in. Somebody told me never have the music start exactly at 0. You want to kind of give it some build in, but it kind of starts with a stab. So it doesn't really matter necessarily, but to each his own. That was something that one of the teachers at the college that I went to, that was something that he that he taught. He said, don't have your music start exactly at the beginning, kind of give it some lead room and whatnot. And different styles of music, though, of course, different styles of music. But that helped. RMS is another factor for the master. Let's check out the RMS on this guy then. Let's see. I don't have an RMS on here, do I? What's RMS? I thought he was talking about the meter, but now I don't know. I like the way that comes in. Sounds good, man. All right, cool. So now let's do one more master. We'll do 48. 48. This is 24-bit and 48. So we'll do one more. We'll save. We'll hit OK. We'll hit OK. Waiting for this to load. And so now, if I actually go find that file in my browser, if I find that file with that master on it, and I bring that into Reason, we can see the difference. So let me turn this on. So now you can kind of see the difference between the WAV files, right? This one very thin. This one has a little something to it, but it's not crazy. It's not, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna hit how it needs to hit, but it's not gonna be, blowing your hair back or anything like that. Like I was doing this the other day. I'm not gonna play the music, but I'm gonna just drop it in so you can see what the actual WAV file looks like. I'm in the wrong place. Here, go to music. I'm trying to see. Bro, you're the hero we need. What's the Batman just came out, y'all. I'm not the hero the city wants, but I'm the hero the city needs. Is that how it goes? Something like that, right? Bro, you're the hero we need. You're the best. Hey, Kiro, I appreciate you, man. Your master could be hitting 0, but still sound low when against other music. RMS helps with that. Yeah. Is there a RMS in Reason? Would it be this VU meter? Oh, God. Batman. Sounds good to me. All right. A WAV file is what I was talking about. I think I'm gonna have some time to get to this vocals, doing some of this vocal work. Why I can't find the thing I'm looking for though. All I'm looking for is a music track. That's literally all I'm looking for. This one right here. Here we go. Music. So I'll throw this in. See the difference? See what I mean? See what I mean? So this is one of those processes. And when you look at this file, you can see what's happening with the audio. Just look at the transients. Here's my first kick. Here's some of their kicks, some of their loudest transients. But when you look at it, that's happening over and over and over repeatedly again and again and again. So that's just the style of music, right? It's just different styles of music. This is a lot of 808. This is 808. This is leaving no room for a break in the music, right? It's just a lot of, and it's really hitting the top every time. It's hitting that 0 every single time. So it's loud music. That's the difference between how the audio looks and sounds. Because this is our master that we dropped in. You know what I'm saying? And could we go louder? Yeah, we could go louder. We mix and we master to taste. So we could go louder, of course. Of course, this is me using Reason with the Focusrite Scarlett. This is Lil Wayne in a recording studio, somewhere, with, tons of expensive equipment and things of that nature. So That's the difference between, what those wave files look like. And of course, you know, it is what it is. But you definitely want to have a reference. You want to have something that you can play along with your music, like Catchy Noise and Willie Jackson was saying, in terms of like your music could be loud, but when you compare it to other music, theirs could be louder. And so that's what I was saying earlier about industry standards, client standards, and then your standards. So this is very much so like my standards, this right here. Um, and so yeah, that concludes that portion of the stream in terms of our mix and master with that beat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close this stuff out. Let's make sure to save that. And probably it probably was made in, but what I'm saying is like I don't honestly believe I don't honestly believe that Lil Wayne was like that he was recording. Let me not. Let me be careful with what I'm trying to say. You know, I know that Reason as a DAW is powerful. That you can record audio, make beats, mix, master. I showed you guys some of that today. So we know that that's possible. I'm just not, I don't think that the mix engineer is pulling up Reason when he says, okay, let's get ready to lay down these vocals. I don't think that that was the case. I think if Lil Wayne was in a hotel somewhere and they was like, hey, we're going to send you this beat and we want you to rap over it, just like that video. There's a video of him actually doing that. I think that that definitely is something that could happen, right? He could be just somewhere and he just needs to lay something down. They might pull up Reason. They might not have Pro Tools on it, right? They might not have Pro Tools available, so he might pull up Reason, might pull up something of that nature. But I think in the real studio, I think in the real environment, they're probably using something like Pro Tools. They're probably using that in order to get, the recording that they want. And that's okay because Reason goes hand in hand. Reason goes hand in hand with those softwares. Okay, so hard stop at 7. Wow, that's so fake. Look how long we was doing this stream without the camera cutting off. All of a sudden, the camera want to cut off. Only thing I think added additionally is a few waves puglins. Exactly. But that makes a difference, right? That's going to make a difference. All right, cool. I'm back. Back with a vengeance. I got about 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, because I got a hard stop at 7. What do you guys want to see right now? I still have the. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. I still have the file. I have this file here ready to go with the song, with the vocals. I can go through some of the same. It's pretty much some of the same tips with mixing that I'm gonna go through with this song. But the only difference is now we actually have yo. All right, whatever. YouTube, monetize me so I can buy more equipment. What's happening? Come on, man. He used Pro Tools. Yeah. Let's just keep it simple. Keep it simple, folk. Should we do a little beat cook up or should we go through this song with some of the mix that we can do with these vocals? Let's look at some of the mix we can do with some of these vocals. So actually, I'll show you guys what I did. Let me get my headphones back on real quick. Give me a second. So similar process when it comes to mixing with this song. A similar process. I'll show you guys some of the stuff that I did. So this artist, Corey Knock, his voice, everybody's voice is different. And that's the main thing about mixing vocals with beats. Everyone's voice is different. My voice is different. Your voice is different. Even people, when they impersonate voices, they're doing something crazy. Chris, there's a glitch in your matrix. I think I forgot to take my blue pill today. I forgot to take the blue pill. Everyone's vocals are different. So even like impersonators, when they impersonate voices, like they're tightening and loosening their vocal cords in order to get a different sound, but their voice is still their voice. So some people's voices are bassier. Some people's voices are thinner. Female voices, male voices. Voices are different, and they need different things in order to be able to sit in the mix correctly. Some of those things that we did in the first mixing session with just the beat can apply here too. So some of that parallel compression that we did, that's some things that we can apply. Cutting first before we boost is definitely another thing that we can apply, as well as putting our headspace, putting on one hat instead of the other, making sure that we have on our mixing hat, right, and not like trying to go too much into production. So these are some of the things that we want to consider. I'm hearing some noise. I hope everything is okay out there. These are some of the things that we want to consider when we are mixing with vocals, right? So let's actually go ahead and loop the
living my life with a purpose and a plan, walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God.
So of course for this mix and this master or what have you, this was for my personal use, and I just wanted to hear it loud and be able to play it back in the car. So this is not something that I would give or like upload to be used. This is still a work in progress. So I definitely like still have, this is just a 2-track, right? It's just a 2-track. It's not the full beat. But if I was mixing the beat, then that's what I would want to use. I would want to have the stems to all of the drums and all of the bass and all of the 808s and the vocals. On this, we only have access to a 2-track and the vocals. And even in this session, I did some extra stuff, right? I did some extra stuff in this session here. Like I added in some sound effects. I added in a bunch of stuff, you know, so.
Mash on the gas cause the Lord say go. Out into the world, I'm a fisher of men. I hope you heard the story. In the end, God wins.
I just love hearing that part because in the end, God wins. I hope that you guys know that, and that's important to me. So we have some stuff in there. I think I have another sound effect somewhere.
Bury that old man with a pick and a shovel. You can never win if you let Satan in, cause God want your life to be free from sin. I beat that thing 19. Thanks to the Lord above. God over everything, Lord. Thanks for the love. Living my life with the purpose and the plan, walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, the God the Most High.
Okay, so what did we actually do? Let's go over some of the things we actually did with his voice.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Living my life with a purpose and a plan.
So we can see here we did some, amen, hallelujah. We can see here that we did some changes to his EQ. So one of the first things we did, we brought down in this area right here, 160 to 320. We brought some of that down because his voice is very bassy.
Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, the God the Most High.
And I actually was not with him when he was doing the recording. So I don't know what he did with his recording. I don't know what he how he recorded, what mic he recorded, what the environment was like. So this is dry.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
And you can see there's a lot of low energy right there.
I'm a child of God.
See all this low
I'm
energy?
a child of God.
We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. And that's why we turn on that high pass filter.
I'm a child of God, the God the Most High.
We don't need it. And immediately there's some subs that was there in his recording. And as soon as you turn on that high pass filter, you can hear them just go away. You can just hear them leave.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, the God the Most High.
So after we added in that low pass filter, we also went ahead because we're cutting first. We always cut first. So when I'm looking at I'm gonna turn the EQ back on right there. I'm sure I went from left to right, and we just cut in that mid range right there. Right here, we're at 279 hertz. We just cut that. I'll play it without it.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, the God the Most High. Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day.
So just right in there was a frequency, and what I did was I did the sweep with the high shelf to find where is it coming through, where does it sound the most boxy, and then we just apply a cut. Now, could we just like take this cut, down as far as we want, and like really cut it hard? Yeah, we could, but you also don't want to do that either. You want to do slight adjustments. You don't want to do super heavy adjustments because it might not be necessary. You might be taking out frequencies that you don't necessarily need to take out, so same thing with boosting and cutting. If you're doing something above 6 dB, you're pretty much like you're just doing a lot. And then look at what I did with the high shelf. I definitely went above 6 dB. We're going to bring that down because like I said, if you got to boost that much, then there's something else you need to do. You need to cut some more of this bassiness. You need to cut somewhere else. You shouldn't be boosting more than 6 dB. You shouldn't necessarily be cutting more than it, but sometimes it applies for it. So that's what we did on the EQ side of that vocal.
With the Son of Man, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, the God the Most High.
Where are we at? We're right here. So we actually are using the channel dynamics, and I pushed his input. Yes, Reason does have a de-esser. We're literally getting to that right now. First, I want to go over this. I'm gonna show you how you can find that de-esser as well. So let me pull this guy. Let me just pull this over here. Let me just pull this over here so we can kind of see what's happening a little bit more. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. So I added in a channel dynamics compressor because I wanted it inside of the rack. Of course, you can use this in the actual mixer as well, right? You can actually use the compressor here in the mixer, but I wanted to use the rack version. So the first thing I did was, you can see right here, I pushed the input gain. And I'm pushing the input gain because when with vocals, when you're rapping, same thing with the dynamics. Sometimes you're not rapping at the same consistent velocity and you're not rapping at the same volume, especially when you're taking in breaths and you're running out of breath. And, even if the perfect take, your voice is not ever going to be exactly the same. It's going to have some change. So there's going to be times where you get excited and you get louder, and there's going to be times where you're too quiet. So we push the input gain so that we could just give the compressor as much room as it needs to work. We want you to have all of the audio signal. Compressor, take all the audio signal.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan.
Put all the audio signal into the compressor, and then let the compressor work. So we got 4 ratio, and I have a very hard threshold as well. So if I turn my ratio up, then we would be working more and with like a limiter, right?
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
That doesn't sound good at all, right?
I'm a child of God.
So
I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God.
we could. So we were at 4. We could add in a little more of that ratio.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God.
Now we're getting too loud, right? So the ratio, so that's how I work that compressor for this use case. There are other ways you could work your compressor. That's how I chose to work the compressor. And I left it a fast attack. As soon as the compressor starts getting signal, the compressor is automatically starting to bring that signal down or boost that signal up. And that's just what I wanted. A little bit of EQ is wonderful. A little bit of compression is great. And a little bit of effects is also great. So we have some reverb and some delay for taste. We could make it less. We definitely could use less. But I liked how it sounded with the reverb. So I'm going to let you hear it without the reverb and without the delay.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
So that's real dry. Let's hear just the delay.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God.
And then what that did was, by giving it that delay, we kind of created some ad-libs for him. We kind of created like a dub, a overdub, a bounce back, between what he's saying and, hearing it afterwards. So I'm really glad we continued with this mixing situation. When you add reverb, do you go back and EQ again? What you should do, or what I heard, it was a conversation that was being had about reverb and what they were saying. I think that's what you're getting to. The conversation they were saying about reverb is that reverb, you should EQ your reverb. So your reverb has, when it's doing what it's doing to make it sound like it's repeating and it's a hallway or it's in a room, it's adding frequencies to whatever you're adding the reverb to. So you need to EQ your reverb, right? So sometimes, especially if you're using like a send, if you have it as a send effect, then Reason will let you, Reason separates it, right? But you also could we could add in an EQ right here below the reverb, so that we take out some of the lows or some of the frequencies that it's adding to it, so we get the sound that we want. So me personally, as you can see here, I didn't add any EQ to the reverb, but of course we adjust to taste. So we go back and forth until we get the sound that we want. Nothing is ever like set in stone, like, okay, that's our EQ. We're never going to touch anything with the EQ ever again. Like that's not how I work. Some people might work that way. That's not how I work. So if I add a change to something and then I notice like, okay, now that I did that, now the compressor is kind of sounding funny. Now it kind of sounds weird. Okay, I might need to go make some changes to that, right? So that's what I'll do. So we got delay, we got reverb.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
Very dramatic reverb, to give it that Migos, Travis Scott, very dramatic reverb. We definitely could pull down on that reverb. And Reason has a lot of patches that you could choose from when it comes to reverb. They have a bunch of vocal patches. That's all these VOX patches. A lot of different vocal patches. Some of these are combinators. So you don't have to just use just the RV 12,000. You don't have to just use their main reverb. You can also use these different combinator effects that they created for reverb. And yeah, that's the effect. So, super dry. That's exactly what it sounds like. Super dry.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan.
Here with the reverb and the delay together just kind of creates an atmosphere.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. The God the Most High.
Let the beat breathe. Hey, let the beat breathe. Now, I wonder if anyone has caught what's happening with the beat and the vocals. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I'll tell you at the very end of this. It's a really interesting story, actually. So I'm gonna save some story time for the end of our tutorial. I roll off the verbs. Oh yeah. Oh. Speaking of which, this RV7000 has an EQ inside of it. Oh my God. So when you open this thing up, it has an EQ. Almost forgot that. Oh my gosh. Wow. Imagine if I had forgot to mention that. So it has a reverb. So you can actually tweak this reverb. You can roll off some of this low. Oh man. Isn't it? Can we just give a round of applause for Reason? You know what I'm saying? Reason has some super dope stuff. And then, man, I just blown away right there. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, forgot all about it. All right, cool. Vocal de-esser. Factory sounds. All effect patches. Of course, I always forget about this beautiful search bar that they gave us. But nonetheless, dynamics, vocals, de-esser. Oh, they have an M-class de-esser. Well, I wonder what that is. I didn't see that one there. So I'll let you guys hear what it sounds like without the de-esser.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. The God the Most High.
He was pretty much okay with his semblance. His semblances were okay, those S's and T's and things. It wasn't too bad in terms of like needing to have a lot. But every song and vocalist will need some de-esser. Because the S is one of those frequencies that, like I said, when you do that mix and that master and you start raising your volume, that's one of the things that will come through a mix. And if it doesn't have any kind of de-esser on it, oh man, you're gonna make somebody's ear bleed. So you need some kind of de-esser. All right. So some kind of de-esser, and probably in this the way that I have it, I'm sure I probably should have did some rerouting, some cable rerouting, so that before it's affected by the compressor, it decreases those S's. So I'm not sure. In terms of, I'm sure of how it sounds. I like it. I'm sure of how it sounds. I like it. But could you have added the vocal de-esser before the compressor? Probably. Just not 100%, sure. But I'm gonna delete it right now, and I want to check on this. We have vocal de-esser, but there's an M-class de-esser, and I want to add that one in, and I want to see what that one will do. And I'll add it above our regular compressor So it's the first thing in the chain.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
So you can hear that S really come through, right? So let's turn up the amount.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
So I could hear that S, decreasing ever so slightly. What we might need to do is actually open up the devices and get specific. So the way that this de-esser is working is they've applied this boost, this super huge boost to this range where they think that S is going to live. And then they've routed that into a compressor to create a gain reduction and to create like a parallel compression type situation. So as the frequency comes through, this gain reduction is activated, right? So that's the idea of how that de-esser works. So you could just drop that frequency altogether in an EQ, right? But then what about the times when he's not saying an S? Now all of that vocal is losing those frequencies. So when we use this compressor in this way, it's only when the S hits very hard that it drops that sizzle, right? It's only when the S hits very hard that the compressor activates and then it drops it down. So if we change this amount, see this? It changes the threshold amount of the compressor. And that's what we want to see. So we got it slamming. I want all of it, right? I want all of it to come down. Matter of fact, turn the ratio up too. Let's hear it now.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
And what you might need to do is actually move this frequency till you find the S, right? Till you find the frequency that he is getting. I think I call it sibilants, and plosives. Exactly.
I'm a child of God. Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man.
See, so that's a better frequency. So we moved the frequency from where it originally was, and it caught that Son of Man. It caught it. So that's a better frequency for it. Let's actually hear it with the rest of the beat. We'll hear the whole thing together.
Living my life with a purpose and a plan. Walking every day with the Son of Man. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. The God the Most High.
All right, now let's hear it without the de-esser.
Living my life.
I wish people would bring back like drops. Drops are like my favorite thing in beats and like music. Is like when the music is going and then the music drop. Like that's why I did it so much in this.
The end, God wins. Jesus is the.
So like one of my favorite things is drops, and I don't know. They kind of do drops, but not as much these days. So that's pretty much what we did with the vocals. A little effects, a whole lot of compression. Make sure you got your leveling right. And everything is always to taste. When I let my wife hear this song, she likes the beat and she likes the song, she likes the lyrics, but she likes the beat. So she's like, "Oh man, why don't you turn him down a little bit so we can hear more of the beat?" And of course, that's because she my wife and she loved me. So she know I did the beat. So she want to hear the beat more. But some people might want to have the vocals just slightly tucked under the track. Some people want their vocals to peak over the track, and some people want it to be right, coming through at the same volume. And it just depends on the taste of the artist, and it depends on the voice of the artist. So the voice of the artist is very important as well. What I want to tell you guys right now is shout out to my boy Corey Knock. Hopefully he's doing well. We're actually going to shoot the video for this song tomorrow. And I'm pretty excited. I hope you could. I don't know if you could tell or not, but I'm pretty excited about it because it's just been a dope experience. It's been a dope experience to work with him, to make music, to make beats. Again, and I'm just excited, bro. I'm just excited to see where it goes. Of course, I'm trying to pull up something right now. Of course, on my YouTube, and I would love if you guys would go. If you haven't watched it already, you could go watch it and like it. On my YouTube is one of our other songs, and this one is actually called "The One for Me." And this song was same thing. So actually, our process for making music, he has a lot of music that he already recorded, and he has vocals and he has other beats, but he's not working with those producers anymore. And so he kind of wanted to like create a new sound. So I've been working with him. So a lot of our stuff, we call them remixes because he has other versions of the song, but we call them a remix. So I made the beats, his newer beats, and I've also mixed and everything else. So the entire process of his music currently right now, I am helping and assisting and producing it. So that's why I told him, I said, hey man, like, you know, treat me like I'm your producer. Like I'm going to produce you. Like that is why you see him on my YouTube page. That's why you see him on my Instagram. That's why you see him wherever I am. You're going to see him because that's my brother. That's my brother in Christ. And he's just a good dude. So we did the beat, remixed the beat, laid the vocals, recorded the filmed the video, edited the video, right? All of those things. So if you're looking for somebody to do video work, music videos or anything of that nature, I'm definitely available to do that as well. If you like the way that I mixed, if you like the attention to detail that I paid, you feel free to send people my way. If they want to get their stuff mixed, feel free to send people their way. Also, again, if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. I'm just here on YouTube having fun, making beats on Reason and showing people how powerful the software Reason is. But I would appreciate if you guys would watch that video, like it, leave comments, and look out for some skits and some production from the video for tomorrow. So we were in here in this studio. We were recording some of the footage that's going to be in the video, and the video will probably release sometime at the end of this month or maybe next month. But I'm looking forward to that, recording that video and getting that done. So pretty much right now, we've concluded our mixing and mastering. Hopefully that I really hope that you guys got something out of that, that, you know, maybe there's something that I said today, or something that you read in the chat. Man, shout out to the chat, bro. What would we do without y'all? What would we do? These is my peoples, man. These are my peoples. I talk to these people, you know what I'm saying, regularly. You know what I'm saying, on Instagram, DM. Like, these is my people, man. Brian Jordan, I didn't make this on the live, but if you want to, Brian Jordan, he asked if I made this beat on one of the lives. I didn't make the beat to Child of God. I made the beat, but you can watch the video on my YouTube. So it's actually the video that says I made this beat with my wife. Let me see. I wonder if it'll come up. Everybody making beats with their wives, right? Everybody making beats with their wives. I was hoping it would just pop up. Anyway, it's on my page. It's called I Made This Beat With My Wife or something like that. And it's from way back in the day. I was making beats and she came home and I just was like, hey, help me, you know, finish this beat. Here it is, making a beat with my wife. Is this the one? What's up, guys? This is your boy Chris Reed back again with Hey. And the crazy thing about this is Corey saw this video And then he sent me a text and was like, hey, I really like that beat. Like, can we make a song with that beat? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Send him the stuff, send him the stems, whatever he need. And he was able to make that, right?
I like the shit, but just not with all the reverb. Like,
So let's take it out. Let's take it out.
So like, you know, that was a super dope process too. Like, you know, and I'm looking at that camera like, oh my gosh, what is that camera I was using? But go ahead, man. You guys can check those videos out, man. Basically, man, give your boy some love. I appreciate y'all rocking with me, man. I got a ton of videos, man. I'm hoping to make some more and just, you know, cook up some stuff and do some dope stuff, man. So I appreciate you guys. If you guys can go watch some more of these videos and, you know, these live sessions and you know what I'm saying, help me get this watch time up. Right now we're at 3.2. I set a goal last year to get the 1,000 subscribers. We hit the 1,000 subscribers. We're over 1,000 subscribers now. We're at like 18. Well, we're at 12. We're at 1,280. I was about to confuse it with 18. 1,800 is a lot more people. We're at 1,200 subscribers right now. So we are over our goal of hitting those subscribers. And we have a new goal, and the new goal is the 4,000 watch time hours. So to get the 4,000 watch time hours, I'm gonna be doing stuff like this, these live streams, and putting out longer content that you guys can watch. One of the things I think is real fun is the vlog content, where it's like you see me go through the process of a day, and then maybe I end with a beat. And just so it's longer, you know, so people can watch more and get that watch time hours up. But also, you know, please feel free to leave it in the comments what you would like to see me do next. I love this mixing and mastering. I thought this was really cool. I do have that hard stop at 7. I got one last question from Brian Jordan. How does he get you the vocal? He sends me the vocal with WeTransfer, because he already has the vocals recorded, and he records them at his house, and then he'll just like give me a thumb drive, or he'll send it through email. Shout outs, Catchy Noise Productions, Great Keys Beats, Chuck G, 22 minus beats. We had our boy Willie Jackson in the building. We had Brian Jordan, of course, came through the building. Who else was it? Seth Nitty came through the building. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Kirosini came through to the stream. I appreciate you guys. I hope that you guys have a great night, man. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.